allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Claudia? Here. Tracy Ellen? Joe?
Here.
Alan?
Here.
Doug?
Here.
Stephanie?
Here.
John? Barbara?
Here.
Al?
Here.
Ryan? Louis? Jacqueline? New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies of which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Riverdale Regional Board of Education has caused notice of this regular meeting to be publicized by having the date, time, and place thereof sent to the Record, the Ridgewood News, and the Town News newspapers, the constituents borough clerk and borough libraries, as well as posting in the school district principal's offices, faculty rooms, and the board office. According to the New Jersey Public Law 2001, Chapter 226, the smoking or use of any tobacco product is strictly prohibited anywhere in the public school buildings or anywhere on school grounds, including but not limited to parking lots, grassy areas, and athletic fields. Violators will be subject to a fine not to exceed $100.
The mission of the Riverdale School District is
to provide a safe, student-centered environment in which each student is valued and respected, to challenge each student to reach his or her potential, to nurture every student's intellectual, social, physical, and emotional growth, to promote a healthy work ethic, a passion for learning, and a respect for oneself and other, to develop responsible citizens for our diverse community and an ever-changing world, to continue to involve our community in an active partnership, and to provide all students the opportunity to achieve and exceed the New Jersey Student Learning Standards and the New Jersey Core Curriculum Content Standards.
Thank you, Alan. We'll move into public comments on agenda items only. And as always, there will be a segment at the end of the meeting for public comments on anything pertaining to Riverdale Regional School District. Do we have any public comments? Okay. There are no presentations for tonight, so we'll hop right into the student member report. Jacqueline?
Good evening. So we just wanted to touch upon the middle school because last week we had the request to talk about the middle school more. And so this week, the middle school held a spirit week with themes including Pajama Day, Jersey Day, Pink Out, Riverdale Spirit Day, and Halloween costumes. And a week later, the entire building, they made their own tie-dyed masks to show their own individuality. And it was donated by the PTO, which were proudly displayed by everyone on November 3rd. They also had their first ever PE day where they had physical education classes competing against each other and the teachers, which they want to continue into the spring. So for the high school, the beginning of the second marking period started last week for the high school, and it's been starting out strong. All the teachers have been encouraging their students to do well if they haven't the last marking period. And we just want to acknowledge that next week is Thanksgiving, and we're grateful for being able to come back in person this year. And that as the representatives, I think we're all happy that this year is so much different from last year, and that we can actually see our teachers and see everybody again. Finally, we have the Riverdale High School Fall Open House for 8th grade families this weekend from 6 to 8 p.m., which Ryan and I will be participating in since we're a part of Team Pep. We'll be giving tours to the new students and wanting to give them a feel of the high school, and hopefully they come back in the spring, in the fall, for 9th grade and their freshman year.
So moving forward to some of the athletics. So fall sports have come to mostly a close. We still have the boys and girls cross country team who have their state group meet of champions at Homedale Park, so good luck to them. And then winter sports are about to start up, so everyone's looking forward to starting a new season, starting fresh. And then today we had 2 therapy dogs come in to help the transition kids, and they got to meet all the dogs in the courtyard, so we just want to say thank you to Miss Kathy and Miss Karen for sharing their dogs, because it was a great experience for those kids. and they would look forward to having that opportunity again. Then we also want to mention that Toward is doing great. Season 9 is going strong. I know every week, like, students get to look forward to seeing what their peers have done in their class, and it's just been really great so far.
On a different note, our debate team has been going very strong this season. Last week we had 2 teams go 3-1, and in the debate before that, last month, 2 more teams have gone 3-1. So big thanks to Mrs. Connolly, our debate coach. Also, very, very special. Last week, Bergen County Prosecutor Mark Musella came to our classes I think in the law class and in the AP Gov class, and spoke to us about what his office does, what his job is, and about how the whole department down in Hackensack has changed drastically over the past 3 years. And his coming to Riverdale is actually part of this whole community outreach program as part of the prosecutor's office. And lastly, our fall play is going to, Annie will have its drawings this weekend, and maybe if you saw, there was rehearsals going on in the auditorium and in the hallways over there, and tickets can be bought virtually over the school's website, and we hope to have a great performance this weekend. So great luck to our students. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys. Jacqueline stole one of my items. I was going to mention the open house, so thank you for discussing that. I just want to say congratulations. We had our the candidates. We had some openings on the Riverdale Board of Education. In Oradell, there was 1 slot, and there were 3 people vying for that slot. And the incumbent, John Samuel, did win the election, so John will be back with us. He happens to be out tonight. He did let us know he had some personal business to take care of. We had two openings from River Edge, and Claudia O'Neill won re-election, and Annette Forelli, who was with us here tonight observing the meeting. Congratulations. She will be here on our first meeting. I believe it's January 4th, if I'm not mistaken. 3rd, January 3rd. So come on the 3rd. And Joe Manzelli, who will be leaving at the end of the year, 1 more meeting to go, and we will give our thanks. That's all I have tonight, so I'll pass it along to Patrick.
Thank you. So, Jacqueline and Louis, did I ruin the debate that I walked in on when you guys were in here? No? Okay, good.
You did well.
Good, okay, I'm glad, because I was wondering, Joe, they were competing in here. I didn't realize that I came in and, they told me to immediately get out. Gracefully, though, very gracefully, very nicely. So I have a couple of items, if I will. The first is I wanted to, on behalf of the Interact Club and Teen Freedoms Corps and our transition students, thank the community for their continuing donation of money and food items, which is part of our November's month of giving collection drive. So far, they've collected over 5 boxes of non-perishable foods and toiletries, and over $100, which will be used to buy additional items to support 4 different groups in our community who are in need. I want to turn to a couple of events that took place last week, so that I can fill it out a little bit. On Thursday of last week, both schools for Riverdale, as well as the Oradell and River Edge schools, were placed into a lockdown situation because of an incident that was taking place in New Milford. No way, shape, or form, as it turns out, did it spill over into the communities, into our communities, but as a precaution, the police departments asked us to do that, which in this case meant that no students were allowed to leave, no parents were allowed to come in, or anybody else was allowed to come in for what amounted to be about 90 minutes on Thursday until we received the all clear from both police departments and then resumed business as usual. So during that 90 minutes, people were able to circulate inside the building, they just couldn't leave the building. On Friday, we had a different kind of an incident, and that's because a power line went down on Fifth Avenue, right as you would leave the school, Surrey, and I'm spacing on the other wood. The one next to us, the one you come out of the back of. Pardon? Just before you get to Midland on Fifth Avenue. Power line came down. And when the power line came down, we had a power surge throughout the building, and in the middle school in particular, and it also affected the high school. Lights went out, all power went off for about 30 seconds and came back up. Then, if you recall, around 11 o'clock, there was an enormous storm that blew through here, and you're still seeing the storm that had the tornadoes out on Long Island. So that caused the down power line to arc and to basically was on fire. And when the storm stopped and that settled down, both buildings lost one leg of power. There's 3 legs of power that come into each building. They're called phases. We lost one phase. So the students experienced the fact that there were some built rooms that had lights on and some rooms that didn't have lights on. There were some rooms that had electricity, some didn't. And that lasted for, that situation probably lasted for about 2 hours on that day. So what happened was, because we had the power surge and because we lost the phase, 2 motors on rooftop units in the middle school burnt out and gave off a smoke condition. They feed the auditorium and the gymnasium. So we had to evacuate the building because of the smoke condition, and we had a real good drill because of the fact that you couldn't use the back exit because normally we do that. So all students were evacuated to the front of the building, and basically what happens is they go up Midland Avenue to Elm and gather over there. So the fire department was unable to clear the building for us, so we relocated the students to the middle school students to the high school. 7th graders were in the lower gym, 8th graders were in the upper gym, and then we dismissed the students early from there. So the students, it probably took us about an hour to fully dismiss the students. So this event took place for about, all in about 3 hours from when we evacuated the building around 11 through the final student being dismissed around 2. I want to give a big shout out to the River Edge Police Department, the River Edge Fire Department, the Oradell Police Department, the Oradell Fire Department. They were with us the entire time. They secured the area around the down power line quickly so that we didn't have anybody come into harm's way in that way. Then they secured our movements from one building to another, and then they stayed with us. The Oradell Police Department stayed with the 8th graders, and the River Edge Police Department stayed with the 7th graders to help us execute the evacuation of the students out to the public. What I'm most pleased about is the fact that during that entire time where we had students being moved from one place to another and then the dismissal, we were able to account for every single student at every moment of the time. That's the most important thing for me, physical custody, that you have that, and we were able to do that and verify that a number of times along the way. So that's our most important priority, is to make sure that you have physical custody and everybody's safe. And when we do that, it takes a little bit of time. So that's why it took a little bit of time for us to send out the notifications to the community and whatnot. It was about 30 minutes from the start of the event to when we actually, it was about 30 minutes from when we began moving the students to the high school that we got the notice out to the parents, because we were hoping obviously to reoccupy the building while we were in the drill status. But again, both River Edge and Oradell did an outstanding job coordinating with us. They blocked Midland Avenue so that we could move the students from one side to the other. The students did a fantastic job in their cooperation, their behavior during that time. The high school students as well, because we invaded their space with 660 middle school students. Our staff also did a wonderful job in getting that situation resolved and keeping everybody safe. We are, the gym ventilators are, those are the ones that are completely burnt out. Those are being reviewed as we are, right? The gyms have both exterior doors and windows, so we're able to ventilate easily and simply there, so that's why we resumed operation there. In the auditorium, the unit has 2 separate fans, one supplies, one returns. The return fan is operational and is working, so when we open the back doors to the auditorium and the front doors, we have ventilation coming through that area. So we're able to resume operations now, and John and Trudy, John Knable, our Director of Facilities, and Trudy are working to get those things back in operation as quickly as we can. And then finally, after many weeks of no COVID, we did have one case of COVID reported over the weekend. That makes our 8th case since September 1st. We've had 3 students, this being the 3rd student, that tested positive, and 5 staff members. All 3 students were middle school students. We haven't had a positive case in the high school yet that we're aware of. I always put that caveat out there because it's always a possibility that someone isn't telling us everything. And of the staff members, there was 1 person in our office and 2 high school staff members and 2 middle school staff members. Again, that's since September 1st. We probably haven't had a case at all in about 5 weeks. So we had a really good run there until this time. The result is that there are 7 students that are placed into quarantine as a result of this, and there were a whole slew of students who do not have to do not have to quarantine because they're fully vaccinated. Right now, we're operating at about 66%. We've had a number of students report, or families report, student vaccination, so we're up about 66%. And staff holds steady at 94% of the staff is fully vaccinated. So that very much helps us as we go through this process of contact tracing, et cetera, et cetera. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. We'll get into the committee reports. I know Budget and Finance and Facilities, we have meetings scheduled for 12/6. But Joe, was there any activity in Budget and Finance since the last meeting? No, okay. Doug, Facilities? Okay. John heads the Community Relations. I don't think there was a meeting. We have one next week.
Scheduled for next week, yeah.
On the 22nd, so John will report back on the next meeting. Claudia, Curriculum.
Yes, so we had a meeting last week. This is where we received new course proposals, course revision. We also received a recommendation for course elimination. Course elimination is something that the committee has been asking for a while because our program of studies seems to be a little too large and some of the classes don't run. And we want the kids to have better opportunities for them to choose their first or second choice for courses as opposed to third or fourth. So 3 classes came off for elimination, and that's honors organic chemistry, super physics, and history through film analysis. They haven't run in over 3 years. New courses that we spoke about was art and computer science. It's an elective. It's a little lofty. We were a little concerned that it might cannibalize or replace digital design. And we wanted to know if there was going to be unintended consequences with other art courses. Mr. Fletcher reported back to us that no, the class is different from its focus and goal. Digital design focuses on solely activities and goals, and will work on team building skills to solve problems. And it will also work with skills from STEM. Then we also asked, the second course was sports and new broadcast journalism. And our concern is This is a TV course, so we were concerned, how is it going to affect the kids going into advanced media? And will they be able to take advanced media instead of following the regular track of TV 1, 2, 3, and then applying for AMP? That was our concern. Mr. Fletcher reported back that, yes, the kids will still be entitled to go into AMP. This will just be a focus on students' knowledge for writing for a newspaper and creating television content for both live events that will take place in and around Riverdale. Then there was a class called Native Speakers. Mr. Fletcher is going to maybe we'll try to find a new name for it. But our question was if kids could test into this course. And he did tell us, yes, that they would be able to. And this will work on the proficiency level to explore more an immersive type of classroom experience for heritage and native speakers that will also have an opportunity for other students. Then the other class we did was coding at the high school, and there were no real questions about that. And then digital journalism in the digital age. Currently, journalism is a half-year course. This is going to be a full-year course. That was one of our questions. I just spoke with Mr. Fletcher now, and he did say that when these do go into the program of studies, they'll be cleaned up and looked, and the questions that we were asking will be reiterated in the program of studies. And then the other question we had was students going from, if there's any research or any information about changing marketing from a half a year to a full year. They don't have any statistical data on it at the moment, but anecdotally, students like the idea that they're not rushed into completing the whole curriculum in such a short period of time. So that's it for us.
Thank you, Claudia. And I might add the new course recommendations are on our consent agenda tonight.
Yes.
Okay. Policy and governance, Stephanie.
We had a non-in-person meeting. There was one policy to discuss a temporary revision to a policy expanding capacity for juniors to leave during lunch period. The committee had everybody on the committee had the same concern / question, which speaks to what Mr. Fletcher was speaking about, the physical custody of the students and how to manage that in a way that, gosh forbid, there be an emergency or something happen. And so for the moment, it is on pause. And if that can be managed, then it certainly would be something that we would consider again, and if, and it could be brought to the full board. It wouldn't have to come to policy again. It could be brought to the full board for discussion should some of those concerns be worked out.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Let's move into the consent agenda, please. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Claudia, second. Alan? Any questions or concerns about the consent agenda? Anybody? Okay.
Claudia,
Yes.
Alan,
Yes.
John, Tracy Ellen, Doug,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes, with the exception of 9A, the October 25th meeting, someone going to abstain since I wasn't here.
Stephanie,
Yes, with the exception of 11A, voting no. Just they're lumped together, and I have concern about certain ones.
and Al.
Yes. Okay, I guess we'll move, may I have a motion to move executive items?
I'd like to make a motion to move the entire executive session from earlier this evening to the regular meeting.
Okay, may I have a second, please?
I'll second.
I have Stephanie for that. And let me just give a quick recap. Additional work schedules on the executive agenda that's being moved forward, staff family leave absences, rescinding of a coach, salary adjustment, appointment of a part-time custodian. I'm assuming there are no questions or concerns. We just went over this. Okay, Tracy?
Claudia?
Trudy, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Tracy's not here.
That's why it was on the.
Alan?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Stephanie?
Yeah.
Al?
Yes.
Just be happy I didn't call you Tom.
Oh, my God, thank you. Let's see, let's get into, I believe we have old business, new business. Oh, hand went up very quick. Claudia, bring it to us.
I just wanted to say that Alan, myself, and Stephanie, we attended the Bergen County School Board Association meeting last week. It was hybrid, half in person, some people virtual. So it was a little odd to sit there and listen to them like talk to a screen and such. But it was interesting because it was on SEL. And it was kind of, I felt very proud of us because it was Alumni in Recovery came to speak. So it was great. So we actually had a Riverdale alum that was there speaking. And we also had Stacy Stein, who was the president of the PTO, talking about what she does for AIR. And they gave a lot of shout outs to Riverdale because really it seemed like we were like their inception of them starting and how we're part of, like they use like so many, like they come to our classes, they're part of our curriculum. So it was kind of nice to see. And both of them did a great job and they served Riverdale well. So just wanted to acknowledge that.
That was, didn't the PTO do something here in Riverdale with Alumni in Recovery?
Yep.
I remember that last year or the year before. It's very impactful. Anybody else have anything? Alan?
Yeah, I'd like to announce that after 2 years, Ford, which is the Friends of Riverdale, is going to have their 18th golf outing, June 27th, 2022. Those of you that don't know what Ford does, they raise money that for different things like scholarships. They raise money to build the field house. I was thinking rec center, the field house. We improved the sound system in the auditorium. So it's a worthwhile cause. We committed to 140 golfers this year. So put it on your calendar if you can make it. On the 27th, it's 1 o'clock, shotgun.
It's after school. Awesome.
Yes.
That is awesome.
And there are a lot of Riverdale students who are golfers. So,
There are.
So perhaps since it's not during the school, maybe they can get their own little teams. Some graduate teams coming to.
Right. The fix is in.
Graduation gift, people. Just one thing.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
So Pat, reported how nicely, or how smoothly, I shouldn't say nicely, but how smoothly the drill, or the smoke, transition. But additionally to that, and I know it would be my concern if I was a student, they had to pick up and leave everything in the building. And so Mr. Urbanovich not only got the okay to allow students to come in that day for a little bit, but nicely returned on Saturday for a short period of time to let the students who couldn't wait till Monday come in and get their stuff. And we always appreciate our staff knowing and understanding the concerns of students, even though they were excused from their, all students were excused from stuff till Tuesday, right, till today?
Yep.
Till Tuesday.
Till tomorrow.
Till tomorrow. But they might have left, clothing, phone, well, I guess nobody leaves their phone, but clothing, phone, whatever in the building. And so that was a really nice thing to be able to do for the students. And that's it.
So I can't let it go. I just have to tell you one quick funny story. I was with Mr. Urbanowicz, after, it was probably about 4 or 4:30 on Friday afternoon, and a student came in, and who will remain nameless, and Mr. Urbanovich said, "Do you know where you're going? Is he everything you got?" Yeah. The student said, "Oh yeah, absolutely. I just left it in so-and-so classroom." So Mr. Erb said, "Okay, well, you just go down there and get it and come on out." And he goes, "Oh, I'm only getting my phone. I'm leaving my backpack and all my books." I said, "All right."
No work until Tuesday, exactly.
It was so funny. So honest. It was so honest and funny at the same time.
Anybody else? Old business, new business, board discussion?
There's a proposal on the variance board to build a huge complex where the Subaru dealership used to be. I'm sorry? 34 apartments there, where AAA used to be. There's another building that's on the planning board to go up there with equal amount of apartments, if not more. Does the school get notified when these things are going to appear? And I know they always say that, developments like this, people that live there don't have kids, but, housing is, becoming very expensive. So I would imagine that younger groups that want to live in the area will start living in a complex like that.
So the answer to your question is not always do we get notified. And the last couple of times that it's occurred in both communities, we did not get a formal notification. However, the borough, from what I understand, both boroughs are supposed to get an impact study on population to increase. So I would hope that if, upon receipt, if it was something that would tip the scales a little bit, that they would give us some notice of it. But typically the answer is no.
Yeah, because I'd hate to see, like what's going on in Hackensack right now. And their high school is so antiquated. I don't know what they're thinking with all the construction that's going on. Not only on Main Street where the Record used to be, and even on Kinnecamack Road by Total Wine, that complex going up there. I don't know how they're going to manage the kids. So.
Does it say what type of units and how much affordable housing is part of the plan, or it's not that far along yet?
It's not that far along yet. It was just an announcement that, there are going to be stores down below, and it's going to be a 2-story above that with 34 apartments. But they're also talking about the building on Kinnecamack Road where Panico's used to be, going up 2 stories on that one also.
What typically will happen with something like that, what you have in your hands, is that's their first proposal. They know they're going to have to scale that down to get I think there are 6 variances for that building. My question would be, to Patrick, and I'm just throwing this out, I know there was that complex down on Kinnecamack and River Edge that was built. I mean, do you have any idea how that impacted the district? How many families or children came out of that building?
Riverdale was unaffected at this moment, but River Edge was. River Edge did have students come in, but we did not have any students move into that complex that came directly to Riverdale.
Mm-hmm.
So we will, as it goes on, yeah.
Right. Okay.
We tend to get the delayed effect.
Yeah, you're right.
The elementaries tend to get the quick hit, and then.
And Patrick, correct me if I'm wrong, but to Alan's point, there used to be a time when both councils had an education liaison.
Yeah, there
We
is.
had liaisons who would go attend those meetings to try to do that, and I know that was a long time ago, but maybe that's something.
There still is.
Just as a reminder.
There still is a liaison.
Well, I don't, has anybody attended any, council meetings. That's, that's probably the best way for us to know. They should let us know, but
We could ask the question without attending the meetings, I think, because I think Roger's the liaison.
Still, yeah.
Yeah, Roger is.
I know there used to be conflicts because of Mondays, but
What Hackensack, I mean, this doesn't impact Riverdale, but Hackensack, I believe, has 14 projects going on right now. And they're trying to create the next Hoboken. So they say they're trying to attract younger home dwellers, if you would, that it shouldn't impact the schools. Remains to be seen. But anyway, any other items to discuss? Okay, we'll hop into public comments on anything pertaining to Riverdale Regional School District. Anybody have anything for us tonight? Doesn't look like it. Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn? That's Claudia.
I'll second.
And Stephanie. All in favor? Aye. Trudy.